Hey guys, I want to share something with you. I'm just going to go live real quick because I have a viral content checklist that allows us to get way more reach, engagement, followers, everything, every single time we post. And so this checklist that I'm about to share with you, it's literally the difference between us getting 123,000 views versus like 3 views. So let me go ahead and share this with you. If you're watching this on Instagram, you can head over to YouTube or you can go to Facebook and go to the pages there so you can kind of see the checklist that I'm referring to. But otherwise, if you're still here, hey, just join me here and we'll be good to go. All right. So let me just show you real quick. This is probably going to be off screen if you're watching this on Instagram, just FYI. But let me just share here. Okay, so you can see that we have, let's see, one of the posts, the one all the way at the top left, 123,000 views, 91,000 views, 57,000 views, 47,000, 46, 45, 37, 25, 22, 18, 17,000, 17,000. So you can see that we actually post, and when we post, we get a ton of views on our real estate content, okay? So this is everything I'm telling you. This is the proof that this actually works. So let me just go ahead and share the checklist with you. So we're just gonna go through this kind of like line by line. And like I said, we're gonna do this live. So here we go. All right, so first and foremost is objection handling. So I want you to basically understand that content marketing is sales. So when we are posting, we're not just posting to post, okay? That's the biggest mistake that I see most real estate agents making is they just kind of like, oh, it's Tuesday, I gotta post something up, and it's like, you can't, that's not how it's gonna work, okay? So the best way to do this is basically to post with a specific objection in mind. And what we do is we have one hyper-specific, hyper-local objection, okay? So every single time we post, that's what we do. So make sure that every single post that you create answers one specific hyper-local, hyper-specific objection, all right? Content marketing is sales. And in sales, we have to overcome objections, and that's part of the process. So every single post, every single piece of content that you create, I don't care if it's an email, I don't care if it's a newsletter, an Instagram post, a YouTube video, it doesn't matter. Every single post needs to overcome one specific hyperlocal objection, all right? So that's number one. Number two is the hook, okay? So what I want you to ask yourself every single time is, did I spend 80% of my time on the first line, which is the hook, okay? So the hook is basically something that's like, it's a copywriting, a direct response term, and when you're scrolling and people are scrolling, you have to be able to stop and get their attention immediately, okay? So think about it like this. When you have a hook for email, that's a subject line. If you have a hook for a blog post, it's the title of the blog post. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, it's the same exact thing. You have to have a title or a subject line or a headline that immediately stops the scroll, gets the user's attention, and gets them to stop and listen to you. If you don't spend 80% of your time on that, they're never gonna see the rest of the content. So for instance, if you send an email and the subject line of the email is bad, it doesn't matter how good that email is because no one is going to click to open the email and read it. Does that make sense? So that's the power of a good hook. So 80% of your time on literally the hook, and then 20% of your time will be spent on everything else, like the subject line or the body of the email or the paragraph below the blog post, or in this case on Instagram, the caption of the Instagram and the like visual part of the post on Instagram. So 20% content, 80% of your time on the hook, because if they don't stop the scroll, nothing else really matters, to be honest. All right. Next is, does it create curiosity, conflict, or emotional connection? All right. So, one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that if you're not able to connect with your audience, then they're just going to continue to keep scrolling. So even if you have a great hook, you still have to connect. Now, the way that I always do it is like the first thing that I try to do is I try to catch them, which is the hook. Then I try to connect with them, which is the body. So like I said, the subject line is the catch, and then everything after that. So like the actual body of the email or the body of the paragraph or the caption or your actual reel or whatever the post of that is going to be where you connect. You can do this with storytelling. You can do this with quick tips or lists of things, anything like that, but you have to be able to connect. And the best way to do that is through a story. This happened to me. I remember when this happened to me. I had a client that did this. I walked into an open house and we did that. So those are the types of connections that you want to make so that people will continue to stick with you. All right. The next thing is, would I stop and read this if it wasn't mine? Okay. So what I mean here is, if you saw your post on social media, would you stop? Like, you need to ask yourself that question, because a lot of times the answer is no. And you're like wondering like, well, how come nobody's viewing my stuff, or how come nobody is engaging with my content or cares about what I'm posting? And it's like, because it sucks. It's not good. So if you wouldn't stop, why would someone else? Okay. So we literally ask ourselves every single time we post. And when we don't ask, it shows, because we're like creating stuff that nobody's really interested in. The next thing is, did I include a primary hook on the post? So in this case, what you want to do is, when you're posting on Instagram, you have an opportunity to have a caption. So that's one hook. You also have the opportunity to have a visual hook if you're doing a reel. So that could be, like I said, if you're doing a reel, it would be like the first thing you do in the reel. Sometimes people will like tap their nails, or they will do something that makes a sound. That's why they're doing that, because it's a visual hook. You also have an opportunity to have a text hook. So at the top of every single reel, you can put a text hook and basically have some sort of text overlay. And so when people see the reel in their feed, a lot of times they're not watching with the sound on. So if they're watching with the sound off, you need to have some sort of headline at the top so that they know what they're getting into, essentially. So you are going to be able to see your views will increase 10x by just having a visual text, a visual overlay on the top of your reels and your posts, your stories, your carousels, all of those things. All right. The next thing is, did I include a tertiary hook in my content? So again, that's what I'm talking about when there's like a video or an audio hook. So there's 3 areas that you can have the hook. One more time. So you can have an overlay over the top of the video or the top of the photo or whatever you're doing, carousel, whatever, fill in the blank. You can also have a visual or audio hook, which is essentially, I come in, I jump into the scene, or I tap my fingers, or I make a sound or something like that. I'm sure you've seen this 100 times when you're scrolling Instagram. You can also have a third place for a hook. And the third place for the hook is the caption itself. So like the first line of the caption. All right. So that's where we put our hooks in. And if you literally just do that, you will see a massive increase in your traffic, your reach, conversions, et cetera. You'll get more leads by just doing those 3 things alone. All right. So let's talk about something else. We also do a framework called Bends. So one of my mentors, I've like hired YouTube mentors along the way. And one of my mentors, he talks about this like copywriting framework called Bends. And what it is it's big, easy, new, safe. And what I mean, like, let's just go ahead and break each one of these down so you can kind of see what I mean here. So first and foremost is big. So does it solve one really big problem, or does it make one really big promise? So that goes back to solving one hyper-specific, hyper-local objection, okay? So how do I buy and sell a home in Orange County at the same time? How do I know if I'm pre-qualified? What comes first, pre-qualification or, like you're basically, what you're doing is you're answering a question, right? So like I said, like the best example would be, how do I buy and sell a home in Orange County at the same time? Like that's such a simple and easy one. That solves one big specific hyperlocal objection and solves one big problem. All right. So that's number one. Number two is easy. So does it feel simple? Does it feel doable? Does it feel kind of like a shortcut? All right. So what you would do in that post would be, you would basically list out, the 5 things that they need to do, or the 3 things that they need to do to be able to buy and sell a home at the same exact time simultaneously. So you know how to do that with your eyes closed, I'm sure. And so you would basically answer that question as simply as possible. All right. So that's the trick. Next is it new? So is it a fresh take, or is it some sort of like, trend or unexpected twist? So a lot of the stuff that you create is going to be evergreen content, because a lot of times real estate doesn't change all that much because we have laws and like regulations we have to abide by, and it takes a long time to change in real estate, right? But if you can have a fresh take or a fresh spin or something that you do differently that no one else does in your market, something that makes your process unique or makes you unique or makes your buying or selling process unique, that's what you're going to want to focus on. All right. So if you are saying like how to buy and sell a home at the same exact time, what is your specific process that no one else does in your market that you can basically tell people that makes you different, new, unique, etc. All right. So that's how we handle the new part of the Benz. Safe is, does it feel reliable or backed by proof? So one of the things I showed you when I first got on was, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can see that I actually had the proof here. So while I'm telling you all of this, I'm providing like safety in this post because I'm showing you the proof. Like I'm showing you that we have tons and tons and tons of viral posts where we've gotten over, 50,000 or 100,000 views. So that's why I do that, right? So if I go back here, what can you do? What can you do to provide, like safety in your posts? Can you tell a story that shows that you've been through that situation before? If you're telling someone how to buy and sell a home at the same exact time, how can you show that proof that you've actually done that multiple times before and you've helped multiple people get the result that they want? Okay. Next, we have brand tone. One of the things that I want you guys to really just think about when you're posting is this on brand? So like, for us, our brand is approachable. It's not stiff or corporate. Also, our brand is intellectual. We want to basically tell people how to do things, teach things, not in a way that's like fluffy or shallow. We really want to get people educated because educated leads make better clients. So that's one of the things that we focus on. That's part of our brand. We also want it to feel kind of like kind-hearted and not judgmental. So some of the we live in a real estate market that is a luxury market, but a lot of the people that we work with are more kind of like down-to-earth people. So we don't want our brand to feel like stuffy or kind of rude or mean. And like for some agents, that actually is it's part of the brand, because if you're rolling out in a Lamborghini and it's like, yeah, you're at a level where you want to reach a certain person. So you want to eliminate a lot of people, and that's part of your brand. For us, yes, we're in a luxury market, but our market is very, like, we live in an equestrian community. Our community is very like kind of down home luxury, if that makes sense. So we don't want to portray a brand where we are constantly trying to eliminate people, if that makes sense. So what is your brand, and what are the things that you want to make sure that you check off every time? Does this align with my brand? Because when people see you in the feed, they need to know, oh, that's, Sally. Like, I know her face, I know her colors, I know her vibe. And the biggest deal about this is that, like, if every time you post it's on brand, the beauty of that is that you're going to attract clients that are like your brand. The other benefit of that is that if they're choosing between you and a competitor, they're going to choose the person who's like vibe that they like the most. So the more video content you create, the more on brand your content is, the more they get to know you, you're going to be the only and obvious choice, which is the best position to be in as a real estate agent. So that's why we always say, okay, is this post on brand for our brand? All right. Next is this post aligned with our market? So our market is Orange County, California. And I kind of described a little bit of our market before, but here it's sunny, it's bright, we have warm visuals. We also have like beach luxury or coastal luxury. So again, if I was in Beverly Hills, it might be a different type of luxury. For us down here, it's more of like a laid back beach coastal luxury. So that's one of the things I always think about whenever we're posting. Also, active, family inclusive lifestyle. So those are some things that we try to incorporate in our branding and our post as well. And then would this post make someone want to live here? This is the biggest question that you can have when you're asking yourself, like if you are creating a post, you want to ask yourself, like, again, content marketing is sales. If you post this on the internet, does it make someone want to live in your community? Because a lot of times the posts that you're getting, the posts that you're posting, they're going to be seen by people that are outside of your market that want to live in your market. So if you're posting things that are kind of selling the lifestyle of your community, that should be paramount on your mind when you're posting, okay? Like, huge thing. And a lot of agents, they don't even think about it. So does it make someone want to live here? Okay. Huge. Next is this post worth someone's time? Okay. This seems like such an obvious question, but like when you're posting, since you put your hard work and you created it, in your head, you're like, well, of course, this is worth someone's time because I spent my time creating it. But that's not really how it goes. Every single time you push publish, you basically need to ask yourself, if I put this on the internet, is this worth someone seeing? Like, if it takes them 10 minutes to read, was it worth their 10 minutes? Or did I just post this because it's Tuesday and I need to get something out? Like, you need to ask yourself that question and be honest, okay? Because people are not engaging with your posts because it's not worth their time. I'm being honest, okay? So, does it inform, inspire, or entertain? All right, so those are the three things that people will spend their time watching in the feed. Next thing is, will it make someone feel something or will they just scroll right past? So if someone connects with it emotionally and they feel something, then that's also going to cause them to stop, listen to what you have to say. So that's another big one. Am I posting with intention or am I posting just to post? Be honest with yourself because your audience will give you the feedback. So if you're not honest with yourself about how you've posted, they will be honest with you and they'll hurt your feelings. That's just how it's going to go. When you are a content creator and you're creating content, your audience will tell you whether your post was good or bad. And so will the algorithm. So you might as well be honest with yourself because the more honest you are with yourself, the less your feelings are going to get hurt. And I'm speaking from experience. Next, call to action. So did I include a clear, purposeful call to action? And a call to action is simply like, share, comment, and I'll DM you, save this post for later. Which one's your favorite? Drop it down below. Want the full list? My link is in the bio. Follow me for X, more like this. So always tell your viewer what to do next. A lot of times I see agents, they're posting and their post is amazing, but they don't get leads from their posts because they're not telling people what to do next. That is like marketing 101, all right? Tell people what to do next, otherwise they will not do it. The other thing is that when you're thinking about kind of the overall view of this, right? So I have like a 3C framework, and my 3C framework basically says connect or catch. So that's the hook. So you want to catch them and stop the scroll right away. Then you want to connect with them. So you can tell a story, you can give a tip, share something interesting. Then you want to convert. And conversion is that last part. That's the call to action. Call me, DM me, share this, save this, tell them what to do. All right. Book now, all of those things, right? Tell them what to do next. The last thing I want to share with you is the show, not tell. So proof is going to be more and more and more important as AI rises. So as bots come into play, it's going to be harder and harder and harder to tell what is truth and what is reality. So the best way to combat AI is proof. Proof, proof, proof. All right. We live in a very skeptical time. So what I want you to do is I want you to focus on every time you post, how can I add proof? All right. So this could be things like an engaging client story. You can have charts and graphs, screenshots whenever you can get them, testimonials, actual results, or exact numbers. All right. That's the easiest way to show proof for a real estate agent. Now, if you want access to this checklist, I have it for you. You can basically just download it whenever you want. And what I'll do is I will drop the information below so that you can basically just grab this checklist whenever you're ready. And hopefully, if you can do that, you also will be able to get tons and tons of more reach, engagement, comments, followers, likes, shares, saves, etc. every single time you post. When you post, not every post will go viral, but if you use this checklist, there's a much better opportunity for you to go viral every single time you post. All right, thanks guys, and I will see you in the next video.